Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to Madam Sally and to all our fellow friends. For today, our group will present about our research that we already conducted, and we already chose a title which is the Linguistic Repertoire among students in Setiu. So before that, I am Nur Bahia binti Jamaluddin with my group mates, with my friends, Saiful Hafizi, Adina Mahira, Sofiatul Khalila, and Fatim Nadia. Yeah. And for this introduction, for this chapter 1, actually, linguistic repertoire, we would like to find the linguistic repertoire among the students in Setiu. And for this chapter or this section, we are going to explain about the background of the research objectives, research question, the significance of the study, and also the limitation of the study. But however, we are going to touch only a little bit of that. And I'm sure all of you are going to ask us why we choose Setiu. And for us, we are going to answer as we know that Setiu is near the Kelantan state. So in Setiu, most of them, the dialects that dominate in that area is Kelantan and Terengganu dialect. So in this study, we are going to know which dialects dominate in this area. So for background of the study, we are focused more in linguistic repertoire, of course, which is referred according to Finnegan 2004, the glossary. Linguistic repertoire is the set of language varieties used in the speaking and writing practices of a speech community. In other words, linguistic repertoire also refer to include all the linguistic varieties such as registers, dialects, styles, and accent which exist in this community. So for this research, we came up with a few objectives of the research, which is the first one is we would like to know which social dialects dominating in certain situation, and the second one is we would like to determine the language repertoire used among students in Setiu with acquaintance school area. And the third one is we would like to determine which dialect vocabularies are used more in their daily conversation. For example, the word makan in standard Malay, we would like to know which dialect is more dominant. Either they use makan, the Terengganu dialect, or makan, the Kelantan dialect. And in order to achieve these objectives of the research, we also came up with 3 research questions that will help us in order to gain the objective, which is the first one is which social dialect dominates in certain situation. The second one is which linguistic repertoire used among students in Setiu with acquaintance in school area. And the third one is which dialects vocabularies are used more in the daily conversation. So for the next section and part, I would like to pass this presentation to Adina Mahira.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. I am Adina Mahira binti Muhammad Tajuddin, and I will present about the second chapter about our assignment, which is the literature review. Okay, since we are doing the assignments on the linguistic repertoire of the students in SMK Langkap, so the first part is the definition of linguistic repertoire. According to Gumpers in 1964, he has stated that the definition of linguistic repertoire is it is a concept that focuses on the users rather than on the use of special registers is that of linguistic or verbal repertoire. It is also comprehended as the totality of linguistic varieties that is being used in different social contexts by a particular community of speakers. Platt and Platt in 1975 have explained the definition of linguistic repertoire as the set of distinguishable code varieties from which the speakers of certain speech community can choose what they want to use in their speaking. in a certain social context of speaking. It can apply to groups or individuals. Repertoire is made up of one single language in a monolingual community of speakers. However, in multilingual speech communities, it may consist of several languages and may include linguistic varieties of all these languages, such as in Switzerland and in India. Hence, the linguistic repertoire is the set of variety used by a speaker determined by the language varieties that the individual knows and used within his or her speech community in daily life, whether from passive or active knowledge. Okay, now we move to the second part, which is the definition of social dialect. Do you know what is social dialect? Social dialect is the variety of language linked to a social group, such as a social-economic class, an ethnic group, or an age group. According to Peter Tragil, it is a variety which is thought of as being related to its speakers' social backgrounds rather than the geographical background. As opposed to the dialect, the basic concept of a social dialect is the person speak in accordance with their social backgrounds, patterns of community. As opposed to dialect, social dialect basic concept is a speaker speak accordance with their social group, whether it is with regard to one's ethnicity, gender, or age, or else. As William Labeaume said, we are required to learn to speak according to in the ways to suit with our general pattern of community. This shows that a person will not only speak the same language in different social contexts. For example, a person may use the language he or she use depends on situation and person involved in it. As me speaking to my Indian friend or Indian classmate, okay, I will speak in the normal English. If I speak in the dialect of Terengganu or just simple Malay words, maybe they will not understand what I'm talking. According to Douglas Bible, it is the varieties that are associated with the given demographic group of people. For example, men versus women or different social classes. It is stated in Dimensions of Register Variation in 1995. Gampers in 1964 has developed his concept on the basis of the research in two medium-sized rural towns, which is in India and also in Norway. The framework for Gampers analysis is the speech community, which is he does not define as essential terms, but as a community constituted through the interaction over a long period of time. According to Gampers also, the individual speakers may choose to make decision about the usage of the linguistic repertoire, but however the freedom to choose is depend on the grammatical and social constraints. It is limited by generally accepted conventions, which is served to classify types of expression as informal, technical, literary, and humorous. Everyone has their own ability in acquiring and learning languages. Each people might able to speak more than one language. However, the usage of those language is different, depends on the situation and the people that involved in that particular conversation. Then we move to the present research of linguistic repertoire. Linguistic repertoire includes all linguistic varieties that present in a particular community of speakers, such as dialects, styles, and accents. It also can be referred as the variety of language used by a particular speech community. Blumen and Beckers in 2013 has stated that the linguistic repertoire as a patchwork of resources, skills, and competences learned by mobile individual speakers along their lifetime. In situations of formal language learning and also informal language learning, encounters with language, while Panico and Otsuji in 2014 has coined the terms that spatial repertoire, which means that linking the repertoire formed through individual life trajectories to the available linguistic resources in a particular place. Okay, the last one is the significance of linguistic repertoire. Repertoire is different from grammar, although it is often misunderstood as grammar. It makes similar assumptions on norms and expectations. It does not have the same presupposition about proper speaking. It is something that all speakers have, regardless where they went to school or for how long that they go to school. But it is obvious that at the same time, the individual's life experience is a crucial element in determining one's linguistic repertoire. So we can see that the more a language that a person or an individual acquire, the broad the linguistic repertoire will be. So that's all from my part. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Fatin Nadia. So today I'm going to describe about the third chapter, which is the methodology. So that is first look at the subtopics. The first item is research design, second sample, third data procedure, fourth data collection procedure, and the last one is data analysis. Okay, firstly, we will talk about the research design. In this research design, we conduct the study based on the survey because we want to ensure the accuracy of the data. The questionnaire is prepared in questionnaire form. It consists of about 4 sections. The first one is about demographic. Second one, Likert scale. Third and fourth is in MCQ. So move on to the second item, which is the sample. The sample involved in this study is students from SMK Langkap in Setiu district and also located in Kuala Terengganu, also located in Terengganu. We chose these samples because it is suitable with our research objectives. The students are about 30 pupils and they are from Form 4 and also Form 2. So we took them based on the sample random sampling. Okay, now let's move on to data procedure. In this data procedure, it is divided into 2 parts, which is pilot test and also the real procedure. Pilot test is taken earlier before the real procedure because we want to ensure the validity and also the rationality of the questionnaire. In this pilot test, few students are involved from the school nearby. Now, I will describe more about the real procedure. In this real procedure, in SMK Langkap, we use hand-delivered procedure because we directly send the questionnaire to the students. So the students answer the questionnaire in school hours and also in school areas. The time allocation for the students to answer the questionnaire is about 15 minutes each. Okay, now move on to the fourth item, which is data collection procedure. In this data collection procedure, as we know, this study is about quantitative data collection procedure. So the questionnaire is prepared in hard copies so that the students will get to answer the question easily, and the data will be collected right after the student has finished answering the questions. Now we have reached the last part, which is the data analysis. In this data analysis, we using SPSS 17. We key in the data using that application and that software, and after we have key in all the data, we illustrated the findings based on 3 illustrations, which is the table, the bar chart, and also the third one is in bar chart. It is to illustrate the findings more accurate and also more precise. So that's all from me for the chapter 3. Now I will pass the fourth chapter to our next presenter, which is Saiful.
So hi everyone, I'm Saiful binti Abdul Aziz. So this is our findings for section C and D. For question 1, we asked about how the students will communicate with students from other school but still in Setiu area. So the highest frequency was recorded by Terengganu dialect, which is 18, and followed by Standard Malay, which is 8, and lastly by Kelantan dialect, which is 4. This showed that students in Setiu area communicate more in Terengganu dialect compared to other dialects when they communicate with people in Terengganu. Some use Standard Malay as they come from outside Terengganu but staying in Terengganu. Least of them keep using Kelantan dialect as they used to the dialect they use at home. Okay, for question 2, we asked about how they will communicate when a visitor from outside Terengganu, which is non-dialect area, such as Kuala Lumpur or Johor, came to their place. So the highest frequency was stated by Standard Malay, which is 17, and followed by Terengganu dialect, which is 12, and lastly by Kelantan dialect, which is 1. So this showed that students in Setiu will communicate in Standard Malay with outsiders to show respect. However, there are also students that will communicate in Terengganu dialect, which is their vernacular language. In question 3, we asked about which dialects they would use if someone came and asked directions using Kelantan dialect. So the highest frequency was recorded by Terengganu dialect, which is 14, and followed by Standard Malay, which is 13, and also by Kelantan dialect, which is 3. This data showed that Setiu students tend to communicate in Kelantan dialect with Kelantanese, but they prefer to use Terengganu dialect, which is the dialect that they use with family members and friends. In question 4, we asked about what dialect they would use when communicating with the worker at the canteen that is using Terengganu dialect. The highest frequency was recorded by Terengganu dialect, which is 23, and next by Standard Malay, which is 5, and also Kelantan dialect, which is 2. This showed that most of the students in Setiu, Terengganu, use Terengganu dialect compared to other dialects when communicating with the local Terengganu. The students, however, use Kelantan dialect because they used to use it as it has been used at home as their vernacular language. The students that use Standard Malay were most probably not born here or not raised. Okay, next for question 5, we asked about the dialect used by the students when they communicate with the health exhibition committee that using Standard Malay. The highest frequency was recorded by Standard Malay, which is 22, and next by Terengganu dialect, which is 8, and none was recorded by Kelantan dialect. Because majority of people in Setiu communicate in Terengganu dialect, they use Standard Malay when they communicate with outsiders or with people who use Standard Malay as well. Next, question 6. We asked about what dialect they would use if a motivator for a program in their school delivers his or her speech in both Standard Malay and Terengganu dialect. The highest frequency was recorded by Terengganu dialect, which is 18, and next by Standard Malay, which is 7, and 5 by Kelantan dialect. They mostly use Terengganu dialect because most of the people in Setiu use Terengganu dialect when communicating with people who can speak Terengganu dialect. Okay, now let's move on to section D. In this section, we asked about the preference in their vocabulary, daily vocabulary. So the first question asked about the word makan. 60% of them use Terengganu dialect for the word makan, and they use makam. 22% of them use make, and 15% use the Standard Malay, which is question 2. We asked for the word jalan. So 55% of them use jalan, which is Terengganu dialect. 22% of them use jale, which is Kelantan dialect, and 22% also use jalan, which is in Standard. Moving on to the third question, we asked for the word apa. The highest frequency recorded by Terengganu dialect, 70% of them use benda, and 28% of them use gapo, which is resembles Kelantan dialect, and like 1% of them use apa in standard Malay. For question 4, we ask for the word bangku. The highest frequency recorded by Terengganu dialect, which is 90% of them use bangku, none use kudo, which is in Kelantan dialect, and 1% of them use standard Malay, which is bangku. So, for question 5, we ask about the word betul. 70% of them use Terengganu dialect or use the word sungguh. 20% of them use Kelantan dialect, which is jolo, and 10% of them use betul, which is in standard Malay. So that's all for this section. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. My name is Saiful. So for the conclusion of our presentation is that we know that the Linguistic Repertoire in Setiu, it uses both the Terengganu and Kelantanese dialects. So Setiu was perfect for this research. Setiu uses more Terengganu dialect, but the influence of Kelantanese dialect is really heavy on some part of Setiu. Even the linguistic repertoire in Setiu is unique since it is one of the few districts in Malaysia that uses more than one dialect. It is hard to find any district or place that uses more than one dialect except for those that are in that have more than one ethnicity in one places. If someone is not from Setiu, they would be influenced by the dominant dialect of the district of Setiu. So that means if someone is from the outer place, it's not from Terengganu, maybe from Kuala Lumpur or Johor, when they go to Setiu and live there, they will be influenced by the dominant dialect, which is the Terengganu dialect. The mixings of dialects usage in Setiu has made the district a unique melting pot of two dialects. The dialect used in Setiu might someday create a new dialect basing on both of these dialects. So in the future, we might see the people of Setiu, the community of Setiu, using another dialect that is not Terengganu dialect or Kelantanese dialect. So for the recommendation and also the future recommendation for this research is there should be a further study on the linguistic repertoire in Setiu, and it is highly recommended because it is a great chance to learn more about the usage of multiple dialects in Setiu, and this would open up more chances for the people to learn about the linguistic repertoire in Setiu. And the reason why this research should be done in another place that has the same linguistic repertoire as Setiu is so that we can see the similarities or differences in place with similar linguistic repertoire but maybe different in other linguistic varieties aspects such as the registers, styles, or even accents. So it is a great chance for us to learn more about this kind of linguistic repertoire, which is using the usage of two or more dialects in one place. So that's all for the conclusion and recommendation. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam, ada ke dia ni?
Cikgu.
Ha,
Ni Pak cikgu minta tu. Letih.
beli dah kau?
Beli dah. Beli dah ke dah?
Hak mana ni? Bukan kertas pink cikgu suruh beli 3 lah ke? Mana tak cukup ni? Ha, 2 ni, mana lagi?
Cikgu dah ingat ambil surat ni.
Oh,
Kita dah ingat dah.
nak kena cukup dah. Ambil buat kau beli orang.
Ya gitu, ambil cikgu. Ambil, lepas tu dah ingat letak. Oh,
Dah, tak payah baloh lah. Ni, boleh dah start bagi-bagi kerja. Ating, awak siap apa pernyataan. Dina awak buat jadual tugas. Lepas tu, jangan nama dah belakang dah tak?
Bagi-bagi ni ya?
Tengok atas meja saya kat office. Lepas tu, tu je lah siap kerja. Pera dah belakang dah.
Betul je.
Ni tak ayah, tak ada kerja. Gigi pula.
Okey.
Tak boleh ya?
Dah kita nak malam apa cikgu? Cikgu bagi kita kerja pun.
Dapat kerja lagi. Awak tolong cikgu Bubuh lasih, kelas kita tak ada lasih lagi ni. Kelas orang lain bubuh lasih lama dah ni.
Oh, cikgu beli dah ke lasih?
Beli dah lasih ni dalam ni. Tengok story cikgu dah.
Oh, comel. Oh, comel.
Cikgu pilih dah macam ni.
Kenapa bising-bising kau? Mari dah
Ngapa Dina apa tahu kerjanya?
Oh, wah. Siap tu.
Siap dah. Ni cikgu beli.
Ya, kita mula tu. Cikgu beli dah lasih. Dia
Ha.
suruh kita pasang lagi. Oh, lawang ah.
Memelah.
Kau ya lalu.
Benda betul bukan koyak. Dah cikgu pilih sungguh dah somel. Sesuai lah dengan warna kelas kita.
Ya dah. Kak Iri,
Ya.
boleh tak nak minta tolong buat jadual tugas?
Hari tu kita dah buat.
Waktu tu soyok dah.
Soyak.
Berapa nak koyak? Koyak. Itu koyak.
Senarai nama?
Senarai nama ada dalam bilik cikgu kat jabat atas meja. Kena pergi ambil lagi.
Nak ambil bila?
Sekejap lagi tak apa.
Siapa lagi nak buat? Itu sebab itu ada budak tindah kan?
Kita buat dua dah, terus sebab sikit je. Kerja lain buat sama cikgu lagi lah.
Banyak.
Banyak lagi kau kerja ni?
Sikit lagi, dah banyak anak pun banyak.
Ni hak tadi nama siap dah.
Waktu setengah lagi ke?
Tak apa ni kita biar dulu sebab cikgu nak suruh pasal rahsia dulu. Ni tak apa kita boleh buat dulu.
Cikgu, siap dah?
Siap. Kepada siap dah.
Ni yang kita penting ni. Ada benda macam nama lagi tak?
Awak tak cek pasal rahsia boleh?
Boleh.
Sophie, tolong cek pasal rahsia dulu. Ni buat lagi.
Kita.
Dia nak kat kau? Boleh lah mari pasal rahsia.
Atin, jom. Gila kerah.
Oh, tak payahlah ramai-ramai. Bono. Nak pasal rahsia bukan nak buat rumah.
Tidur sini ada juga.
Dia dah.
Kita lagi je dah.
Tapi bagi nak pasal rahsia ke? Tu rahsia dia dah. Dah gurau. Cikgu gurau aja.
Cikgu bagus.
Ya, kita pasal rahsia dulu dah.
Mari. Cepat.